Hey guys, welcome back to Mental Health with Mel, and I'm doing another sit down chit chat with me. I'm going to try 2 cameras today and see how that goes. Also, I got the shirt from Target and it's like a men's extra large to like wear around the house. And I'm here for it. Like, look at that MTV logo. Isn't it so cute? Anyways, that's besides the point. We are going to do some makeup today, because I kind of really liked the chit chat with me thing that we did before. So I'm going to use this mirror to help me out. Yeah, I thought today would be fun to talk a little bit about what life was like before I even knew that I had bipolar, because I feel like that was a big change that I wasn't expecting. When I was 19, I started moving around, and we've come to the conclusion with, me and my therapist, that most likely when I was 19-ish, that's when I actually had my bipolar like triggered, because it wasn't something that I lived with my whole life. I might have had some of the characteristics before or something, but I didn't have bipolar until I was about 19-ish, 18, 19, and everyone has different situations, like whether you had a trigger or not. I did have a trigger, most likely, that we've discussed. You might have a trigger, or it might just happen gradually over time. You might develop a mental health disorder. So I personally was about 19, and that's when I moved off to college. Then I came back home because I absolutely despised my college. I felt like I didn't get along with anyone, really. I had like 3 friends, probably. My roommates were cool, like my roommate suite mates, they were cool, but like it just wasn't a good place for me. I didn't feel comfortable there, or like I wanted to be there. So it was time to come back home. I came back home, and I actually had a breast reduction that year, and that was kind of different. I had some issues getting used to how my body looked, and that was different for me. Not the trigger, but, or I mean, it could be part of the trigger, I don't know. But after that, I ended up moving to Atlanta. I got a job offer with Delta Global Services, so subcontracted with Delta to work on their uniform project. And I'm telling you, this is probably my happiest place. Like, I loved that job. It was like 12 hours, but 3 days a week, and I got to have my flight benefits. I got to travel. It was literally the best. And I rented a room in Atlanta that really wasn't that expensive. I mean, compared to like prices here in Florida. I went ahead and rented that room. I lived there. I traveled around a lot. I got to go to like Paris. I was able to go to Mardi Gras for Fat Tuesday, which was also like in the week of my birthday, so I was there for my birthday and Fat Tuesday. That's when I started realizing how afraid I am of other humans. Like, I was there for Fat Tuesday, and that was the busiest that Mardi Gras had like ever been, right? And there were people everywhere, and I felt so claustrophobic. And at one point, someone like grabbed my butt, and then I was stuck in the middle because people were like linking arms because there were like religious protests and like other things going on. Because they were protesting, other people were like protesting their protest, which was like so dumb. Like, it was just a lot. I don't mind protesters at all, but when you link arms together and you're linking arms going through the middle of crowds, it can become really chaotic for the people that are in the crowds. So I was stuck in there for a while, and I literally was hyperventilating, so my friend had to like haul me out. That wasn't the best experience, but I did have fun. It was a great time. I am very fortunate for that. Then after I finished my contract, I actually moved back to Orlando with my parents for about like a month. Do you know how like crazy that is? I moved from Atlanta back home, and then I got a job offer in Texas, in Dallas, Texas, with Delta Airlines. And I was so excited that I was like, well, pack all of my crap again and move again. So I literally didn't have any time to like really adjust to like living back in Orlando. Then I left. So I lived in Texas for a year. Same kind of thing, had flight benefits. I met some great people there, but you know, once you got out of training, your schedules were all very different. And that was difficult for me because I didn't know anyone else besides my coworkers. So when we were on the same schedule for training, I was able to like talk to my coworkers, hang out with them, like do things on the weekends, do things after work. But when that ended, it was difficult for me to adjust to living in another place all by myself because I had moved out there without anyone. It was very hard. So eventually my grandma was sick, her kidney failed, and then I used that so that I could come back because I mean I needed to be closer to my family. My grandma was sick, there was just so much going on, and I was like at the verge of just wanting to quit. So instead of quitting, I used that to help me transfer to the Tampa office. Thankfully, after a couple months, my grandma was fine, able to go back to Venezuela. She, you know, still has her kidney issues, still doing dialysis, but at least she's like more stable than where she was when that first happened. So I moved to Tampa. I was still working in a call center for Delta, but just in a different location. I was working later overnights though, and at this point, as if that wasn't enough, I decided it would be a great, fabulous idea, like great, just absolutely fabulous, for me to go ahead and go to school full-time in person instead of going online like I had been going since I graduated high school and since I decided that the University of Tampa was not for me. So I decided to go on to the University of Tampa in person, and I went back because like the first time I went I was not happy, but I was like, let me give it another chance. So I went back a second time and I did like it a lot. I changed my major and it was different kind of people, so I feel like that helped me like the school more. But I was working an overnight. I think I worked like a 6 p.m.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2.
No, I was working like an 8 p.m. Yeah, I was working like an 8:30 p.m. So by the time I got off of work, it was like 5 a.m. My first class started at 9. So basically, I would just take either a power nap or just stay up until my class, like take a shower, get dressed, whatever, because I obviously had to like drive to campus, find a parking spot, do all of that. So there were days that I just didn't sleep at all, and I would go straight to school, and then after school I'd go home, take a power nap, eat some food, and then I'd go back to work. And this went on for days, like days, and there was like a time or two where I literally would just not sleep because there was something in my schedule where like one of my classes was later, so I'd have to like go straight to work after. So it was me going to work, getting off at 5, going to school at 9, getting off of school at like 5, going home, eating, changing, and then going to work and working an overnight again, and then going back to school, and then finally being able to sleep because that was my day off. So it was an insane amount of stress and amount of lack of sleep, and for some reason, for me, this was like normal. Ooh, that's a lot of pink. That's a lot of blush. This wasn't normal, but for me, this was like completely doable. Like I was like, this is no big deal. Like, what do you mean I should be sleeping more? Like, what? People sleep? That should have been a first sign that there was probably something wrong, but I didn't take that as a sign of anything. I was just like, yeah, I'm a superhuman. Yay, superpowers! And it's like, no. You didn't have superpowers. Yeah, like needed medication and like needed therapy, girl. Like, but I was seeing it as I had superpowers. As much as I would love to have superpowers, like that's not healthy. So I needed to go to therapy. At that point in time, like I literally had probably the lowest point of my life, as well as like I had breakdowns, I was having panic attacks, I was having I was having breakdowns, I was having panic attacks, that's what I was trying to say, and I went to the hospital, or anxiety attacks I guess. I went to the hospital twice because I thought I couldn't breathe, and I honestly thought I was having like a stroke or like a heart attack. It turns out I was literally just having anxiety. Probably from lack of sleep over exhaustion. It just like was not the way. Like not the way. I just needed to get it together, and I wasn't getting it together. So my mom was very concerned, and at some point she was just like, you know, you need to come back home. We can try something else. You could try going to school here, living here. Being with us might make you feel better. You won't be alone. So a lot of the things, like, I think my biggest, like, I'm afraid of, like, the biggest thing is that I don't want to be alone in life. And I think that was really hitting me. Like, I was alone. I was working a different schedule from, like, everyone else in my life. So I barely spoke to anyone. I was just very sad. I think my bipolar had hit its, like, lowest depressed point, and at the same time its highest mania, because I was not sleeping. But after all of that, I ended up moving back here. I went to Full Sail for a little bit, realized that Full Sail probably wasn't the best option for me. And so instead of going to Full Sail, like, because I loved it, but COVID happened, and then it just became too much to learn by myself. So instead of going to Full Sail online for the rest of my degree, because that was like the very beginning that I started, like very beginning of COVID was when I started Full Sail. And then I mean, they're still not on campus anymore, so like I would have graduated by the time that they like decided to go back on campus. So I decided to go back to Valencia and work on my bachelor's in business and organizational leadership. So I decided to do that instead, and I ended up moving back home with my parents after some events happened here with a roommate. And I moved back in with my parents, and that's when the diagnosis part happened, which you've already seen clips of before. Out of all of that, like, the purpose of me explaining all of my life is, like, there were signs that, like, probably someone should have noticed, like, my family, myself, like, someone should have noticed it, because, like, a normal person can't go that many hours without sleeping and be, like, completely high functioning. When I say normal, I mean a typical person should not be able to do that. And also, I mean, the fact that I was, like, that sad, really, and just having all these issues, going to the hospital so many times, the doctors at the hospital should have probably caught it. Like, there's a lot of opportunities for someone to see it, and we just didn't realize, because no one knew that that was, like, part of a mental health disorder. So, like, it's no one's fault. I'm not, you know, upset with anyone, but it's just, I wanted to make that story very apparent. I ran away from all of my problems. I ran away from all of my stressors. Every time I felt lonely, I'd move. Every time that I felt overwhelmed, I'd move. I'd always consistently strive on, like, new situations that, like, challenged me, but also made me have to completely abandon my life and start over. Like, there were a lot of triggers that I didn't realize until, like, now going to therapy. I was emotionally completely unavailable, completely stunted. Like, I wanted relationships, but I could never get one, and that was literally because I was, like, completely stunted emotionally. Like, I didn't want anyone in. I felt like everyone's gonna leave or hurt me. I don't feel that way anymore after therapy. So, and then also, like, the sleeping thing. So there's just a lot of things that I could have probably noticed beforehand, and I just didn't. And I wanted to make a video, like, telling you guys, come on, like, please notice the things that you feel are not usual in everyone else around you's lifestyle, because that normally is an indicator of, like, either a mental health disorder or something that you need to work on as a person, or something that you should adjust, or you're a superhero. I don't know. But if you're feeling any of these things, or you're feeling really overwhelmed, or you need help, or you just need someone to talk to, please look at the links below. Like always, NAMI and the suicide prevention hotline is down there. You can text or call. And if you ever need anyone, you could reach out to me as well on my social media channels, as well as on the comments here below. And just please like and subscribe. I love making content for you guys. You have no idea how fun it is to be this creative and give this outlet. So if you guys have any ideas of things you want to see, please let me know.